oneness of Allah Almighty, of Wahdaniyya. This eternal life, to run them, because everyone he is running, surviving by this secret from Allah Almighty, by this godly life Allah putting in him, from him. If Allah Almighty switch it off, funeral, finish. Switching on, activating. And the one who make to him to be activated, those whom they dressing by the will of Allah Almighty represent Allah Almighty. They are the Khalif of Allah Almighty in all His creations. And for this Allah Almighty keeping them to be like assistant to see the Prophet who is the channel of all manifestation, all lights appearing from La ilaha illallah. The channel for them is Muhammadun Rasulullah. And through this channel, all the godly secret and life and the will of Allah Almighty and the secret of Wahdaniyya, of eternal life, to activate this body, to work on. Otherwise, how is it activating? There is a battery. This without battery not work. This without battery cannot work. And anything need either electricity or battery, or there is now they inventing a kind of atomic energy to make things to work. But all this come to an end. Only godly power, not endless, not ending. Because existing himself by himself, and he is the one in everyone, and he is the all in all, and by him everything is existing and activating. If Allah take himself from the one, finish. He will be then shadow, no more appearing. And for this Allah Almighty saying, all creation they are my shadows. The shadows of Allah Almighty. No existence for them. They are existent by Allah Almighty. Now, for example, this light, now, put your hand under the light. Put your hand under the light. Put. Look, making shadow. Now?
Yes.
Shadow. The shadow. The hand, the body is the most important. Not the shadow. Shadow, nothing. It is only shadow, like illusion, imagination. No existence for it. The existence, the body, one light coming, making shadow. And we are existing by the existence of Allah Almighty. And for this, Allah Almighty switching on light, everything appears as shadows to His divinely godly will of Allah Almighty. How we program everything, everything is activating. For example, there is plenty of factories when they make these toys. How the engineer program them, then they put a battery or remote control, then this toy will work according how it is programmed. And they are like the same. How Allah Almighty programs us. We are activating in the theater of life according to the will of Allah Almighty, how we program everyone. And who is the one responsible for creations? Who is the one responsible to represent the godly will of Allah Almighty between His creations? In every descending of divinely godly word of Allah Almighty, there is a one who represents the original one. And Allah saying, everything I endorse it in a well, shining, sparkling, well seen Imam in my divine presence, which means in the one who is the leaders. I appointed him to be the Lord of all children of Adam, Lord of all angels, Lord of all jinns, Lord of all creations. And Rasulullah said of Prophet, he said, I am the Lord of children of Adam alayhi salam, and no proud. I am not saying proud from myself. It is something granted and offered to me by Allah Almighty. And all children, all their prophets, Adam, Abraham, Nuh alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, 124,000 prophets there is for Allah Almighty, and all they are under the flag of seal of Prophet with all their nations, and will be called in the day of resurrection by the Imam. Who is the Imam? By whom, by the name of whom they will be all creation. Allah will call them to come for questioning and to address them. By whom? La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. He is the one whom Allah Almighty Mawlana say, representing the godly ocean, the godly divine ocean of the attribute as a creator. Whatever coming from the attribute as a creator, whatever appearing from the attribute as a creator, and then descending and appearing from the name of creator, all of them they are under the one who represent Allah Almighty. Who represent the God Allah Almighty in the wahdaniyya of Allah Almighty, in the oneness of Allah Almighty. Who represent him? Muhammad Rasulullah. And for this, in pre-eternal, Allah Almighty saying, Muhammad, he was prophet to me, which means he was representing me. Still, at that time when no anything yet appeared, and he was a prophet to me, and yet Adam, our father Adam, between soul and body, or soul and man, not created yet. Allah Almighty saying, I used to be a hidden treasure from then my will to be known. I create the creation to know me by me, to know Allah Almighty by Allah Almighty. And Allah Almighty now, He is now as He was. Nothing with Him, hidden treasure. And all these, what you are seeing, creations, universes, heavens, earths, paradises, hell, throne, all they are shadows of the descendant of the hidden treasure, from hidden treasure appearing, descending to absolute identity. Absolute identity descending to the essence of Allah Almighty. The essence descending to appear as the Ahad, uniqueness of Allah, Ahadiyyah, the ocean of Ahadiyyah. The ocean of Ahadiyyah descending to appear as the ocean of oneness, Wahdaniyyah. The ocean of Wahdaniyyah descending to appear from it the divine begottly world of attributes of Allah Almighty. And the divine attributes of Allah Almighty, for every attribute there is a name for the attribute. And for this, the descendant of the divine begottly world of attributes is the divine begottly world of names. And the divine begottly world of names, and the attributes appearing and were given to every attribute a name, this combination, in between them appearing a fruit called the divine world of deeds, the deeds of Allah Almighty. Then the godly world of deeds were appearing. And whatever you are seeing, all from the divine, the godly world of deeds of Allah Almighty. Nothing given from the names to anyone, nothing given from the attributes to any creation, only they are the fruits of this combining, this marriage between attributes and names, the fruits of it, the divine, the godly world of deeds. And this godly world of deeds, Allah Almighty making everything to appear, and according how we program it, from the attributes just by the names, is activating these deeds according to the will of Allah Almighty. And the will of Allah Almighty, the faith of Allah Almighty, which will be qadar, the power of Allah Almighty, Allah Almighty dressing it in the divine, the godly world of deeds to whom? To whom? Huh?
Man.
To whom?
To mankind.
Not to man is one of these deeds of Allah Almighty. What is man? But who is this man? No, not Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he is the ocean representing the divine, the godly world of attributes and names, the ocean of Wahdaniyyah of Allah Almighty, oneness of Allah Almighty. And from him, from this world of the attributes and name appearing the divine, the godly world of attributes, of deeds, and the deeds are sponsored and the one in charge for them to make the will and power of Allah Almighty through the channel of Rasulullah of Wahdaniyyah, who represent the Wahdaniyyah, the oneness of Allah Almighty, to run in them is Sultan of Awliya. Sultan of Awliya nowadays, Sultan of Awliya for all relations, for all these divine, the godly world is Mawlana Shaykh Nazim. All this to bring for you, who is Mawlana Shaykh Nazim. Because you were asking. And for this I was making all this turn to its in every period of time, there is a Sultan of Awliya. Sultan of Awliya, he is the Sultan of all Awliya in his time. How many centuries from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to nowadays, in every century, there is a Sultan of Awliya who is the Sultan of 124,000 saints, Awliya, whom they are running the will of Allah Almighty in between the deeds, the divine, the godly world of deeds, and all of them represented by the Sultan of Awliya. From time of Rasulullah till nowadays, there is 23 century. We are in the 23rd century. You say what? It is only 1,400 years. And we are entering into the 15th century. If Allah Almighty, for the sake of His beloved Muhammad, He didn't, before He used to make for people, for mankind, essentially 100 years. By appearance of Rasulullah, his physical body, his reality from pre-eternal was in the divine presence of Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty, respecting to His beloved Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, ordering Malaika to count the century according to be 63 years, according to the life of Rasulullah. And Allah gave age for the nation of Rasulullah according to his time of prophecy, how much he was in time of prophecy, from 40 years of age till 63 he gave the age of the nation of Rasulullah 23 century. And every century 63 years, not 100. And now we are starting by the 23rd century, the last century, where by the end of it, the nation will be finished. Every nation has an age, and Allah saying when the age will come, they will not be extended even 1 hour. Allah will extend that. Just the age finished, the nation will be finished. And the nation of Rasulullah, we told them also for your nation, there is an age, my beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not going to be millions of years, don't think things going to be for millions of years, no. And the age of this nation is according to the years of prophecy of Rasulullah, 23 century. And every century, Allah making it to be 63 for the nation of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not 100. And now we are starting by the 23rd century. And this 23rd century, when it will be at the end of it, then you will see that Allah Almighty ordering the angel Israfil to blow the horn. Finish. Everything is finished. And now all the signs before the appearance of Sayyidina al-Mahdi alayhi salam in 1 year, from this month of Ramadan till next month of Ramadan, all they are going like this tasbih. When the thread is cut, then the beads quickly will be falling. And like this, at the Eid, the responsible one from Allah Almighty who is responsible for these events is going to cut the thread. And then all the events quickly after each other will be quickly dropping down until the big Armageddon, a big third world war will be happening, and by it all will be finished. And the one who stopped this war is called Sahib al-Zaman, the owner of the time. And Sahib al-Zaman, he is the one who represents, he is grandson of Rasulullah, grandchildren of Rasulullah. Rasulullah say, how about you, my nation, when Isa ibn Maryam will descend and your Imam is from in between you, from yourself, referring to his grandchildren who represent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his nation. And Sayyidina Isa will descend with 5,000 malaika to support Sahib al-Zaman, Sayyidina al-Mahdi alayhi salam, to complete and to perfect all mankind to reach Fana'un fillah. Rasulullah will, his reality also will appear, and he will bless Sayyidina al-Mahdi alayhi salam, he will bless Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, and all awliya and all the nation at that time. He will be like a bridge, making them to cross, and inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are for Allah Almighty, we are owned by Allah Almighty, and we are returning to Allah Almighty, or they will be blessed by Fana'un fillah, and a lady in Allah Almighty. If Rasulullah not serving them like this, in day of resurrection, day of judgment, no one is able to see the face of Allah Almighty. No one is able to be then called by Allah Almighty, call him. And this Allah Almighty mentioning it in the Holy Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِي فَرَضَ عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لَغَاتُكَ إِلَى مَعَادٍ. The one who descend on you the Holy Quran and make it obligatory on you, he is sending you to an appointed day before the day of judgment, where he will reveal Rasulullah at that time all the secrets of the Holy Quran. He will reveal these oceans of realities, of secrets, of divinely godly knowledge, which Allah Almighty, when Allah Almighty making these divine oceans of realities and godly knowledge to be dressed and to be taught to lights and manifestation, what appeal after this knowledge between this combination of the divinely godly world of reality, secret knowledge with the lights and manifestation appearing from La ilaha illallah, what appeal? Insan, the perfect man, Muhammad Rasulullah. And for this Allah says, Al-Rahman, Allah Almighty, merciful, using this name of Almighty. He didn't use the name Allah, he used the name the merciful, Al-Rahman. Allama al-Quran, well taught and educated and trained and behaved, all lights and manifestation appearing from the divinely ocean of uniqueness and ocean of oneness of Allah Almighty, Ahadiyya and Wahdaniyya of Allah Almighty. This teaching and this Allah Almighty was needed, these lights and manifestation from the name of Al-Rahman, the merciful, blessing them, needed them until appearing from this meeting together, appearing Al-Insan, Khalaq Al-Insan, the created man, the perfect man. It was Muhammad Rasulullah. And for this, in three eternal, Allah Almighty, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then Allah Almighty dressing all these lights, all manifestation to be coming from La ilaha illallah and to be dressed to Muhammad Rasulullah, to the one who represents the ocean of oneness, of uniqueness of Allah Almighty. And then from him everything is appearing, every light is appearing, and then dressed by a physical state. And the one who can immigrate from his physical state to his light state, to his spiritual state, to his reality, which Allah dressed this physical state on earth, then he will be a godly one, a divine one. Then he will be again swimming in the ocean of uniqueness of Allah Almighty. He will be alive. And this light, no one can differentiate it. That is he. Who? He or not? Light. Like, for example, the ocean full with fish, swimming, whale, everything there is in the sea. You can say that this fish is ocean? No, you cannot say. And also you cannot say that this fish is not an ocean. And they say, when the cloud came, they are coming what? Rain. And then the cloud coming, and then dropping this rain, drop by drop. They don't come all together. Why? Now if you open a tap, you will see water all coming. Okay, I want Allah Almighty ordering this cloud to be open and give rain. Why coming drop by drop? What there is in the cloud? A shower to make them to come drop by drop. Why? How? Coming drop by drop. Think about it. Then this drop coming and then entering in the ocean. When the cloud raining over the ocean, this drop of water, this drop of rain, it will enter into where? In the ocean. Now, it will be there from the element of the ocean. You can find it in the ocean. Allah will find it, but you cannot find it. Then it will be ocean. And like this, our realities and lives, when we turn to the ocean of uniqueness of Allah Almighty, the ocean, you cannot differentiate them from the ocean, but Allah can. These big saints, big awliya, to be the channels for the will of Allah Almighty, to make these every drop by drop, every light by light, to be every one by one dressed by godly life, and to enter into the ocean of uniqueness and to swim in this ocean and to be then his element from the element of that ocean. They know him and recognize him, but he never can know himself or recognize himself. And for this Allah Almighty keeping awliya, keeping ones who are assistant for seed of prophet, keeping prophets, keeping these awliyaullah, whom they are the one responsible for everything appearing from the will of Allah Almighty, from the power of Allah Almighty, from the attribute of a creator of Allah Almighty, to make everything appear, then finish. Appear, then finish. Appear, then finish. Appear, then finish. Anything appearing from Allah Almighty will be finished. Will disappear, finish. No more existing. No. Everything appearing, the picture of it will be finished. But the essence of it will be. The essence, the secret, the godly secret, which Allah Almighty make this light to appear, the essence of it will be. But the picture, the physical stage with rest, this will be disappearing. Till the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Then Allah Almighty again will make all these physical states to dress these lights and to be in the divine presence of Allah Almighty. But now the element, not from the element of the earth which you are living in it, but they will be from the element of the ocean of uniqueness of Allah Almighty. From the elements of the holy, godly lights of the holy essence of Allah Almighty. And for this they will be forever then in paradises or in neighborhood to Allah Almighty over the throne, the essence. And all what they dressed from badness, from mistakes, from bad deeds, as if one is close, they are wasted. When your clothes is wasted, what do you do?
Wash it.
No, you throw that.
Right.
No, you throw. Why to wash? You throw. And for this, no one remained for him any dress. It's like this? No. And for this they invent washing machines. Why they invent the washing machine? To wash your dress, so that to always keep them clean. Allah Almighty doesn't have a mind as people to create a washing machines for Allah Almighty, to make for himself washing machine, to clean this dress, this physical state. Allah has a mind. It's not without mind, Allah Almighty. These people, they have mind to make him a washing machine. Allah doesn't have a mind to make a washing machine. And so Allah Almighty sent the essence, the lights, from which the one appeared in the divine, the godly word of Allah Almighty, Mawlana say, to their maqams, to their stations, to their ranks, either neighborhood to Allah Almighty, or paradises, or ocean of uniqueness, or ocean of oneness of Allah Almighty, or some of them, they will be disappearing at all. They will be then entering into the ocean which related to the divine, the godly word of the essence of Allah Almighty. And these 40 successors of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and the Sultan of Mawlana Shaykh Nasr, they will be in that maqam, in that ocean. You cannot say a maqam, because Allah Almighty, no maqams for him. He created maqams, oceans. And the physical body which is dressed by all these ways and all these dirtiness and mistakes and badness, what Allah saying, I will worship. Because it is very precious to Allah Almighty. Everybody of the one of us is created by the hand of Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty making every organ of us much more valuable than 8 paradises to Allah Almighty. Like this, Allah Almighty honoring children of Adam. He didn't say I am honoring malaika, angels, or jinn. He say only children of Adam, because I created them and I own them and I make them to be belonging to me, and every organ of every one of them much more precious for me than 8 paradises. And then Allah dressing this body what He dressed. There is a river in the throne of Allah Almighty. And this river, it is dark red, the color of it. Well, in it, life, malaika, angel, praise, glorifying, life appearing from it. From this river, Allah then pouring in everyone. And Allah saying, وَأَنْ لَوْ اسْتَقَامُوا عَلَى الطَّرِيقَ, if they keep the right way, the fast, I will لَأَسْقَيْنَاهُمْ مَاءً غَدَقًا, I will make them, I will drink them by water of life. And for the physical body, Allah dressed also from this river water of life. The water of life, it is dark red, and it is covered every cell of it by type of angels. Allah created them not from ordinary level or light, but they are created from the lights of the holy face of the essence of Allah Almighty, praising, glorifying, and carrying all the life in this river. And then Allah Almighty ordering, put in everyone a little bit. And then it turned to be blood in our body. Like this, the blood coming from this river. And for this blood, we need all the time to be full with life. And the life of it, the food of the blood, what? What is the food of the blood? Praising, glorifying, zikrullah. This is the food of the blood. When the blood going in all your body, it will be totally finished, dead. Because from our badness, from our mistakes, disobeying Allah Almighty, obeying shaitan, following all evil things, making the blood one circulating in the body, totally it will be that one. Then what Allah making? All the blood to go where? To the heart. Entering into the heart, less than a second, it will circulate that, enter into the heart. Then the heart pump the blood again to your body, fresh, full with food, vitamins, enriched vitamins, full with zikrullah, full with praising, glorifying Allah Almighty, giving life unto you. Oh, every cell of your body. And what there is inside the heart? Open the heart, what you will find? What there is inside? You doctor.
Chamber.
Empty chamber. Fourth chamber, empty chamber. First chamber, second chamber, third chamber, fourth chamber, inside the heart. Nothing. Only there are some tubes they call veins. This, the blood coming in through them as a channel, entering into these empty chambers, then coming pumped up to be life in it, to give life to the body. And you are able to see, to look, to hear, to talk, all by this blood, which Allah making from this river. What else is this chambers? No. Empty. And for this Allah Almighty saying it's not empty chambers. They are divine godly word of Allah Almighty, where Allah Almighty saying, neither heavens or earths, I choose them to be a house for me. Only the heart of children of Adam alayhi salam is my house. I am settling myself and my throne and my life in the heart of every one of children of Adam. And for this Allah honoring children of Adam because He is settling. Don't search for me in heavens, you will not find me. Don't search for me in earth, you will not find me. If you want to find me, immigrate from your physical state to your spiritual state, enter into your heart to this chamber, there you will find me, settling myself. And for this, the first chamber, full with all means of lights, jewels, of godly jewels, godly faith, of Iman. He is Iman. He is Al-Mu'min, Allah Almighty, and jewels and divinely knowledge, and they are all protected by whom? I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is the door of the city. To all children of Adam. He is the one responsible, and all his successors, the Imams of 40 ways, big Imams, 40 ways, they are protecting these jewels in the first chamber, and it's called the secret of mankind, of human being. The second chamber, where the blood also goes there and will be dressed in less than seconds by He. Only Allah saying He, as everything is appearing. Then the second, where the realities and secrets of the divine oceans, godly oceans of realities and secrets of every reality of everyone in the heavens over Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam to the throne of Allah Almighty. And the one protecting, the one whom Rasulullah, he said, whatever Allah blessed to my chest, I bless it to the chest of Siddiq. He is, I am the city of realities and secrets, and Siddiq is the door of it. And so Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq and all his successors, 41 Shaykh, now the Sultan of these 41 Shaykh, of all of them, Mawlana Shaykh Nazim Qaddas, they are protecting the jewels and the godly life and the realities and secret, and it is called secret of secret, this chamber. Then the fourth chamber, and the third chamber, from which everyone, Allah Almighty appearing Him, the light of everyone, the reality of everyone, from which Allah make Him to appear, from which Allah creating Him and appearing Him. And Allah saying, everyone is created, is appeared from the example of my light. I am the light of heavens and earths. And the example of my life, Allah describing the example of His life, the reality of seed of Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for all children of Adam, he is even for the prophets also, he is protecting these lights not to be wasted by shaitan or by the one. And the blood will take then also life from it, power from it. Then he will go to the fourth chamber, where there Allah saying, even you, my beloved Muhammad, I will not give you this chamber, this for me. This is the secret between me and my servant, where everyone already, because the light of Rasulullah, the example of light of Allah Almighty, is existing by the light of Allah Almighty. And Allah saying, I am the light of heavens and earth. Everything at the end will go to the ocean of the divinely godly world of lights of Allah Almighty, which Allah make it in the fourth chamber in the heart of the one where he's settling himself and his throne, and then the blood will go there, will be dressed by godly light, then we are pumping and circulating it in the body, and that's coming on your body like this. Then coming on, finish. Less than a second, from the badness, from all reflection of this life on us, busy by this life, giving our back to Allah Almighty and to Rasulullah, and everyone running our shaitan, obeying shaitan, disobeying Allah Almighty, making this blood to give all the life which carried from the heart and to be finished. Then again need to go into the heart. And like this, working until the age of the one finished, then Allah will stop. And Allah Almighty making the one like this to have all the time blessed by Allah Almighty, blessing from Allah Almighty going on circulating with the blood in all his body, and these are the chambers which make the one to be always under the godly protection and guidance of Allah Almighty. The one who can immigrate from his physical state, from this physical body, and go in through this spiritual state, in the soul of him, in this chambers, then he will be blessed. As Allah Almighty saying in the hadith, still my servant approaching to me, closer and closer by recommended, by nawafil, by my beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sunnah of Rasulullah, I will love him. If I love him, I will dress him, then he make him to immigrate from this physical state to the spiritual state, to enter to the heart, to these chambers. Then in every chamber they will dress him by the lights of that chamber, by the realities and secrets. And Allah saying, I will dress him from my eyes to his eyes, from my ears to his ears, from my tongue to his tongue, from my hand to his hand. I will make him a divinely one, a Rabbani, a godly one. If he say to something be, it will be. And for this, the awliya, they smash themselves, they finish themselves, they finish their physical existence. Only they are existing by the light of these four chambers, existing by the light of Allah Almighty, and for this they are the ones whom already dressed to be divinely one, godly one, in between the creation of Allah Almighty. And so in the day of the judgment, or when you are dying, passing away, Allah then, He will tell them, Ya Allah, take off all His dress, to wash it, dirty clothes, you will enter to Jannah, to paradise, or to neighborhood of Allah Almighty. Even your essence, the lights from which you are created, what there is in your heart, this will go to paradises, to neighborhood, to Allah Almighty. The essence of you never die, will go to the godly world of Allah Almighty, and this physical body must be washed. Allah Almighty preparing 7 washing machines. He has only 7. No need more. For all the creation, for jinn, for mankind, there are 7 washing machines. 7 Jahannam, 7 hell, 7 washing machines. Allah Almighty then will take off all these dress, dirtiness, and put all this clothes, this dirtiness on the physical body, put them in the washing machine. And they will be showered and washed and washed and washed. Fire, by fire washing them, not by this ingredient that we are using, and water, no, by fire. When they are well washed, clean, perfect, then He will send them to another. He has a dryer also. Then they will be wet. He will send them to the dryer. Also, He keep them also for a time, long time, dry. In the dryers, drying them, after the prayer, there is a special also type of malaika, whom all of them, they are well trained to iron them. They will iron them. Because Allah doesn't like anyone to dress anything which is not iron. Always you must keep yourself very handsome. So He will iron all these physical states full with waste after washing, drying, then ironing. See how much the heat of the iron is going to be passing over everyone. And then after ironing, handsome, then Allah will send them to a river on the door of the paradises. By passing by the paradises, just entering the river, all this darkness of these washing machines, dryers, and ironing will be taken off, and they will be full with light, like a full moon. And then Allah will make this clothes of them to be dressed on their realities, on their essence, and to continue forever in the ocean of uniqueness and oneness of Allah Almighty, neighborhood to Allah Almighty and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah will give us and mercy us. Allah, 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 Aziz, Allah, 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 Kareem, Allah, 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 and we are really weak as servant. O Allah Almighty, forgive us, mercy us. Support us, O Allah Almighty. Bless us by forgiveness, by mercies. We are repenting to you, O Allah Almighty, from all our badness and mistakes and all sins. And we are confessing that we are sinners, repenting to you. Forgive us, O Allah Almighty. Bless us by divine godly lives, O Allah Almighty. Support us by your ocean of forgiveness and mercies. Support us by the ocean of Shafa'ah, seal of Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And make us sincere servants to you, sincere lovers to you, O Allah Almighty. Make us to be sincere nation to Rasulullah, sincere lovers to Rasulullah, and to be beloved to you, beloved to Rasulullah. Make us sincere mu'izz to Mawlana Shaykh Sultan of our Grand Shaykh Seed of our and all awliya Allah and Ahl Bayt al-Nabi and Sahaba. Make us sincere mu'izz for them, sincere ones, lovers, and to be beloved to them. And make us to reach the time of the owner of the time, Sahibul Zaman, Sayyidina Muhammad al-Mahdi alayhi salam and Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. And make us sincere followers to them. Bless us by love to them, and bless us to be beloved to them, O Allah Almighty. May Allah forgive us and mercy us. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Nabiina Muhammad alayhi salam. Salatan tadumu wa tula ilayhi mamar al-layali wa tula al-dawam. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Nabiina Muhammad alayhi salam. Salatan tadumu wa tula ilayhi mamar al-layali wa tula al-dawam. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Nabiina Muhammad alayhi salam. Salatan tadumu wa tula ilayhi mamar al-layali wa tula al-dawam. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ila sharaf al-Nabi Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa alihi wa sahbihi. على أستاذنا وأستاذ الإسلام والصديق يكون شيخ عثمان ولي الله قطب سيدنا لله تعالى الفاتحة. اللهم صل على سيدنا